Welcome everyone to the second episode of the Innovation Arabia video series. And this episode will be on the virtual experience economy. And this month we're going to be having many sessions, and today we're going to be having some Q&A sessions with people from the government and the healthcare sector who are going to share with you and discuss the developments in the virtual economy. Hi Rami, thanks for joining the Innovation Arabia video series. Today we're going to talk about the virtual experience economy and its impact on the healthcare sector. Now, some organisations are not going virtual traditionally, and some organisations we know should be looking at virtual. Can you tell me your thoughts on this, please?
So I think traditionally, as you mentioned, a lot of organizations have not been virtual for either the lack of a need or a want or capabilities to be able to do so, or sometimes a combination of all three. But this, in today's world, is just simply not going to hold anymore. I think what the current pandemic has shown us is that there are needs that people have started developing that previously didn't exist. Needs and expectations. And those are the ability to receive services or products remotely without needing to leave their homes. So I think this is going to be now an expectation that even post-pandemic world, we got used to a certain way now that we've realized has become more efficient and is with our lifestyles and the way we live in today's world, has become more of a need than almost a want, if you will, to have things arrive at you rather than you have to go out and seek them. And you've seen businesses that typically didn't engage virtually, let's say retail businesses now offering their products virtually, digitally. Healthcare, COVID was a catalyst for telemedicine. Everything just, the momentum that's now being generated for telemedicine, which before was just more discussions and talks, is absolutely now a need and a must, because people have realized that this is a way that you can receive your healthcare, and it's a way that you can receive it in a much more safe and comfortable environment. So absolutely, this is a need that that every single industry and every single organization needs to consider, because there is an expectation now from the end user that they can receive products or services virtually.
Thank you, Rami. And how could one optimize that experience?
I think, look, there's so many ways that the experience can be optimized in many different ways, and it also depends on the industry. But to generalize, I think it comes down to, for me, three things. One is, we tend to be, when we're creating something, we look inside out. We look at our organization, what we can do, and then we look at how we can present that. I think it needs to definitely, the number one thing is to go outside in, is to really assess what are the expectations. And all of us are users of some form of digital technology. So we need to really assess what it is that the expectation looks like from our customers, patients in our case, and cater to that. So every industry, so let's say the restaurant industry, which is very interesting, because there are some restaurants who pre-pandemic would have never, some very high-end restaurants would have never, it was almost, for them, it was almost too good. They were too good to deliver. But it forced people to finally have to take their product and customize it to the needs of the customer to be able to survive as a business. So number one is customize it and create it based on the needs of your customer base. Number two is the ability to be able to sort of be available almost 24/7, if you will, and not necessarily be available from a offer the service or product or even support 24/7, but somehow be able to provide something related to your service, whether it's, let's say, tracking what's happening with a service or a product that somebody has requested, tracking its journey through, or in the case of healthcare, you want to be able to receive your medical records and have them available at all times. This is what I mean by being available 24/7. So you create experiences, tools, apps that can allow you to be available 24/7. I, as a customer, now have the expectation that I don't have to wait for the opening hours where I can interact with you, or at least I can get something that I need from you. I can get it from the comfort of my mobile phone. And that's what I mean being 24 hours, 24/7, whether it's tracking a delivery, whether it's checking your health records, or whether it's seeing product information because you want to take a decision, or even making an order. You should be able to or booking or something, you should be able to do that 24/7, not just wait for certain hours. So that's point number two, is being available consistently for your customers. Number three, I would say, is simplicity. I think is key. What ends up happening is we tend to look at, what's successful here, what's successful there, what's successful, and try and take everything and try and do too much. And I've seen, product services that do too much fail in comparison to those that have kept simple and, focused their, let's say, digital or virtual offering to that limited area, but that's sort of an area of expertise. So rather than offer some virtual experience that is too many touch points, too much complication, keep it simple to the things that you do well and that can definitely be valued and appreciated by your customer. So to recap, it should be put your customer, or in our case patient, as a priority. Think of what they actually need. Two, be available 24/7, meaning have some presence 24/7, not your full necessarily scope. And number three is to really simplify things and not overcomplicate and trying to do too much.
Thank you, Rami. And what industries are really leading the way now, and how can we learn from them?
I think one of the industries we could all learn from, and absolutely all industries can learn from, is the tech industry. The tech industry, particularly, I'm talking about the sort of Silicon Valley type of organizations, have built a culture, and it's all about the culture that they've built that has allowed them to create such great products, services, experiences. They've created a culture that is very agile, very dynamic, and moves, and just constantly is on the move, which represents a lot of sort of today's society, right? And so there's so much learnings there of how they do things, how they work to improve, to innovate. And if I could take a second here to just focus on the idea of innovation. Innovation isn't just the ability to throw out conceptual ideas, in my opinion. Conceptual ideas and, wow, that's very innovative, but then it sits on a shelf. Innovation is having the ability to take these ideas, these great concepts, and turning them into a reality, but a reality that actually is useful for people. Because again, there's been so much talk today about innovation and AI, AR, VR, so many things that have been talked about, but a lot still has yet to be materialized. There's a lot of gimmicky sort of executions that have happened using this technology, but what is really going to have a massive impact on people? I think the tech world has figured that out because they're so agile, they're so quick to turn around product services that really have impacted our lives, from transportation to food delivery to banking, the way now some of these newer, more modern banks are operating. So in healthcare, I think we can learn a lot from that, is how do you completely transform and create almost a revolution in healthcare where you're offering it virtually, but you know, not just virtually from a virtual consultation perspective, because that's only one aspect of telemedicine. There's a lot of discussion of telemedicine, but how do you offer almost the entire journey, possibly from the minute you book your appointment, do your tests, possibly, you know, see your doctor well, definitely see your doctor virtually, but possibly also then remain monitored all virtually. And then still have these discussions and updates with your doctor, where it's all your vitals, your key data that the doctor needs to be informed of is constantly being sent back to that doctor, so that when you meet virtually, that doctor already knows what's going on. That is the ultimate. I think it's going to take some time, but I think we could all learn from the tech company and how they just adapt. And I think one other thing, other than, you know, being innovative where they're actually implementing, is they have a little, they take on a little bit more risk, and maybe they're willing to sort of try things out, and if it doesn't work out as much, or if it turns out to almost be unsuccessful, they're okay with that. They accept that. They accept that making mistakes and failure is part of producing something great.
Great. And how does that look like in healthcare?
So when it comes to healthcare, I think one of the biggest aspects, I think, is going to be that entire virtual end-to-end experience. It's going to be, how do you deliver care fully, from end to end, to a patient remotely, anywhere in the world, whether it's to, you know, and that's the full set of what telemedicine is. Telemedicine isn't just virtual consultations. It's the ability to treat someone virtually, have them being treated. It could be, you know, a completely different team that's being guided by another team virtually somewhere else. It could be even the ambulance on the way to take you to the hospital. That's a very critical, crucial time if somebody is in a state of emergency. That time can mean a life saved if virtually they're being assisted to treat, the doctors virtually assisting the team to treat the patient in the ambulance, so that when they arrive at the hospital, there's still time to save that patient. There's so much more that can be done virtually, or even in the case of chronic patients, where they could be treated through regular virtual visits and remote monitoring. And you can just imagine sitting, you know, with a doctor who's already seen, you know, your latest data, your heart vitals, based on the remote data that they've received from the remote monitoring devices, or your blood glucose level, all of these things that can be measured remotely. This is the ideal and how that looks like in healthcare. There's also now, I mean, at Saudi German Hospital Group, we implemented telemedicine, and that we saw that was, as a case study, that was phenomenal, that was fantastic. That all these people, particularly chronic patients, elderly patients, that would have normally been a little bit afraid or worried to come into the hospital because during COVID they were worried because of their age group. That provided them that sense of relief that I don't have to go into the hospital. This is new to me, but I don't have to go to the hospital. I can see my doctor without having to worry about going to the hospital for a follow-up visit, which I would have had to physically go in and have been worried all this time. This now is going to provide that relief for many patients post-COVID, because it not only creates that fear of post-COVID. Hopefully, that fear goes away, but they've saved so much time for people, and travel and time, that in the effort that older and chronic patients have to take to go in and wait in waiting rooms and go into the hospital itself. That can all be taken away from virtual visits. Even for day-to-day regular patients like ourselves, you could be doing your meeting 1 minute. The next minute, go onto your virtual consultation, 30 minutes, and go back to your to another meeting or doing your work, without the need to leave your office. So that saves a lot of time. So we've seen that be very successful inside of General Hospital's group with our implementation of telemedicine. There are also so much more to come in healthcare. It's incredible when you think about what AI can really do and all the data that we sit on in healthcare. You know, being able to analyze that and create prediction models for your likelihood of developing certain conditions and diseases, and that exists already as well. That is going to change everything, because now we're going to move from sort of reactive care to preventative care. And that is truly where we want to be, where we are able to diagnose and pretty much treat you before you've even had that condition reach a point where it's life-threatening. And that's what really the goal of healthcare should be, is reaching a point where we're so good at preventative care through AI, through remote monitoring, that we can help prevent an illness getting worse, or an illness even being at a stage where it's considered dangerous.
We hope you're enjoying the episode so far. We'd like to now move on to our second interview. We'd like to discuss the virtual economy within the government sector with Ahmed Ali. Thank you for joining us, Ahmed. Could you tell us where you feel the industry stands in relation to its responsiveness, its innovation, and its development in relation to the virtual experience economy?
In a world full of uncertainty due to the COVID-19 and the pandemic time, I think what should leaders in the government, public sector, give focus and do make sure that the country, the region, the ecosystem of the economy don't stay behind. And simply that can happen by focusing on customer needs and address people's expectations and needs properly. I can summarize the current situation of the industry under the following bullet points. Number one is the challenges coming from the digital transformation. I cannot see the digital transformation is running with the same speed like the world happening around us. I think we need to have it more accelerated, more quicker, to have a direct impact on people. This will help to make services more efficient, more effective, and also to serve, achieving the priority of the country and the government. Number two, I also can see another challenge with the level of engagement with customers and different stakeholders. And I think this has a lot of work to be done, where customer is involved in each and every operation for the government. And here I have to say the three models of the co-design, co-development, co-production, where customer in the middle of each and every process and organization and company and procedures inside the government. The last is there's also clear gap with the government capabilities. I believe we need to develop a lot of capabilities, including people who understand more about the technology, understand more about customer needs, service designing, and how this can help to achieve, customer expectation and customer needs.
Thank you, Ahmed. And what can people expect from the government in this regard going into the future?
I was saying that people needs are very simple. And I think the government should understand that the needs are very simple and straightforward. Number one, they need a personalized service. They need a service that can be designed only for you. This is very similar to the experience with Apple, with BMW, where the customer in the middle of the service. And we name it customer-centric services. This is very important and very needed, and the customer is always comparing the government experience to Starbucks and BMW and Apple, experience. And number two, I think also the customer is looking for a service that can be accessed anywhere, anytime. So I need to access it even if I'm on the flight, outside the country, out of working hours. I need something to be accessible, offered everywhere, anywhere around the world. And I think third and the last is to understand their life journey. I need services that can understand the customer journey and the life journey of the customer. So, for example, tomorrow I'm getting a baby and I have, elderly in my home. So I need service that can address both of them, address the need of having a baby, and at the same time also address, the needs of having elderly at home, maybe by offering services that can support me in my life. So I think understanding the journey of the customer and the life journey of the customer is very important as well to fulfill and to provide efficient services.
Thank you. And what are those pushing enablers in relation to the government sector?
I can say the main enabler is a trust. For me, trust is the currency of the government. And that was proven during the pandemic time when we saw countries like France, like Italy, like Germany, and how they are dealing with such a pandemic time. At that time, the trust between the government and people were really the main game changer, I have to say. In Germany, for example, we saw how people were trusting the government, and accordingly, when they say work from home, stay at home, everyone was listening. And we saw the opposite models in other countries. So again, trust is very important enabler for such a big effort. And number two for me is the future skills. I think also we need to build the future skills that can cope with the future trends. We need service designers who understand emotions and emotional intelligence. We need designers and government capabilities that understand the new emerging technology, understanding AI, blockchain, and machine learning. We need as well, lastly, the PPP. The PPP is a public-private partnership, and I think the engagement between the government and people, government and private sector, government and other partners, it's another key success factors where it will help to accelerate the future and leapfrog progress the government.
Thank you, Ahmed. And could you tell us your thoughts on the role of AI and future technologies within the government?
Let's agree first that AI and technology in general is an enabler. So having AI and trends and technology is enabler to provide better services. So they cannot do magic alone. I cannot assume that the AI alone or the technology alone will do everything. We need first to have a clear understanding of customer needs and preference, and use the AI and use the technology as enabler to deliver this. Don't forget that customers are not visiting the government service or website, centers, or any government facility or channel just to see the new trends. They are visiting such channels just to get the service, to move forward in their life, to make their life easy. This is the main objective. So again, issuing a passport, building a permit, car licensing, it's all services that the customer just need to finish it. So finish it in a smart way, and at the same time enabled by technology. Customer expectation usually is to have intuitive services, that we are saying it service just happen. This is what customers expect in general. Technology and AI should help government to serve people faster. It should help to make the service cheaper. It should help to make data and information and services more accurate, more secure for citizens and residents.
Great. And how are public-private partnerships for drawing a better future?
I think that PPP is must now for many reasons. Number one is to create more jobs. I think having the public-private partnership will create more jobs by outsourcing services, by having the private sector in the heart of designing, developing, and providing services. As well, it can have a direct impact on improving the economy and having a better GDP. This is also another long-term objective that every and each government is looking for. Number three is having the PPP is also aligned with the SDGs, which is announced by the UN, and again serving SDG number 17, how to partnership for the goals. And lastly, I have to say also that it's helping to improve the government efficiency and effectiveness. At the end, using the PPP, I can make things cheaper, faster, quicker, and as well cheaper for the customer.
Thank you, Ahmed. Last question for today. And in relation to customer and citizen engagement, how do we move from informing to empowerment these days?
I believe the government of the future should focus on the two ways of communication. And the model of empowering means two ways of communication, where the government can give a clear channel, not just to listen, also to give directions and to understand and to improve based on customer needs. And to give a small example about it is the crowdsourcing. Crowdsourcing is where you are enabling people by tools, by technology that can be part of the government assessment, improving the services. To tap and say another example about it, the UAE in 2019, they launched the Messenger Shopping app. And the Messenger Shopping app was a clear application that empowering people, giving 10 million of population of the UAE the power to go and assess any government service and provide anonymously their feedback to the government. And the government definitely was promising to, providing action based on such response. So anyone can download the application, anyone can give anonymously neutral feedback, either positive or negative, to fix the government services. Another example, we have it in Malaysia, where they have a different model of crowd sensing. And the crowd sensing means that they are using crowdsourcing to listen from people, and at the end they are using the IoT, the technology, the new trends to make sure that the same problem will not happen again. So assuming you are complaining about the road and how it's not, ready for cars or has any problem after the raining season, let's say. So people are using channels to report this, and the government is to make sure that this will not happen again. They're using sensors and technologies and cameras to make sure that this will never happen once more. It's another way to empower people and give them the higher say in providing feedback and to improve and fix the services of the government.
Thank you for watching the Innovation Arabia video series. Don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel, and please don't forget to register for the Innovation Arabia Conference 22nd to 24th of February 2021. Our next presentation is with Oscar on Trust Experience. We look at cyber risk within the digital commerce environment and how this is left absent in some organizations.